I'm having wicked dreams
of leaving
Tennessee. And Santa Monica is where it's calling me.
It's where it's calling me.
Won't make my mother proud.
Make my mother proud.
She's gonna cause a scene.
She's gonna cause a scene.
She sees her baby girl.
She sees her baby girl.
I know she's going to
she's
scream.
Gonna scream.
Girl, what have you done? You're a pink pony girl and you dance at the club.
Dance at the club.
Oh, Mama. Oh, I'm just having fun. On the stage in my heels is where I belong. Down at the Pink Pony Club.
Pink Pony Club.
I'm going to keep on dancing at the Pink Pony Club.
Joe's been singing this song.
I'm going to keep on dancing at the Pink
4 hours.
Pony Club. The Pink
Do you think
Pony
that's how she
Club.
wrote it?
That was me, like... That was it. Keira Knightley were performing it.
I was wondering.
Were you getting Keira?
I was getting
Spirit of Keira calling me.
I was getting Spirit. I was getting
Spirit of Keira calling. Yeah, she's always kind of there for me. Hold on, let me chug my yerba mate.
Thank God.
Let me chug my yerba mate.
I got energy. It's through the roof.
It's if you hear the air conditioner, it's because I have it on 60 degrees high fan because I am wearing a hoodie for this episode and it is 90 degrees out.
Yeah, it's so hot out lately. It's so hot. I mean, like, don't do this at home, kids. Don't do it at home. Did I even tell them that I started popping caffeine pills?
No.
Oh my God, you guys. Listen to this one. So as we just witnessed Joe chug down a yerba mate like in 2 seconds for caffeine, I recently was like, there's been so much acid in my stomach that I can't stop burping. And it's unattractive. And to Joe's point, like before we started the episode, he called me a pig. But besides that,
I called you a little pig.
You called me a little.
I said you're acting like a little pig. Because
I think it was more like, what makes you act like a little pig?
What makes you act like a little pig? I was just wondering because it was you were getting pleasure in burping in my face. You were getting pleasure. And even just now, you just told me it stinks. You stink. And then you asked me to smell your armpit. And I said, I don't want to do that. And you said, well, some people would get pleasure from that. And some people enjoy that. And I said, I don't want to smell your armpit. And you got mad. And I said to you, why are you acting like I would get sexual gratification out of sniffing your armpit? And then we sat down to record.
So that did happen. Everything verbatim is what exactly happened. But so away from that, I needed to stop like with the acid in general. And I know that there are different ways, FODMAP, like I know girls have been sending me different pills to take. I started taking digestive enzymes. It's helping, but I was trying to get off of coffee. And when I was spiraling on the plane back from LA, I was like, let me do a few purchases. And I purchased caffeine pills without any research because they were cheap. It was about 100 pills for $11, which if you're going to get something and put it in your system, maybe you
should
pay
be
$11. Shouldn't be $11.
No, might as well be.
I mean, for my body, might as well be $11.
And nothing could hurt.
Well, it only could help. Well, this time I decided to pop a caffeine pill before I started coaching a fitness class where my heart rate was already going to be elevated. So I popped the pill and immediately people were like, are you good? And I started tweaking. I've never tweaked like this before because again, it's now in my system and it's weighing on my chest. I do the demo. I'm out of breath. I'm keeping it cool, calm and collected. I get back to the apartment. Joe and Garrett look me in the face.
You were being a freak. You were being a little freak.
And no one could match it.
No one could match your freak. It was unimaginable. You were acting so strange and so like anxious. It was like you were a stranger in your own home. You were kind of lingering in corners, like looking at us, like stumbling over words, panicking.
I was having panic attacks. And then I was also at the same time like doing a lot of like gripping of my fingers. It was strange.
And this is on one caffeine pill?
One caffeine pill. It was only like 250 milligrams, which isn't crazy. Like
that's a lot.
Yeah, yes. But I think it's because how it was digested in my system.
Right.
It just
on an
hit
empty
the bloodstream.
stomach. Is it supposed to be on an empty stomach?
It definitely was on empty.
Is it supposed to be?
I don't think so. I think I was running on empty period from the weekend before. So I was like gonna die. But then I just sat downstairs in my room, just like let the panic attack subside. And then I just went to coffee the next day.
Back to coffee.
Back to coffee, because you know
B
what?
to B. Back to burping.
Don't take a pill to supplement something. You know what? Just get the natural form. And for me, that's a large cold brew.
And that's fine. And that's good, actually, almost.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a few questions that have been on my mind lately.
Jesus Christ.
I actually have no questions to ask you.
Okay. I actually was like, what do you mean? When's the last time you lit up?
The last time I lit up? The last time I lit up a joint?
Yeah.
Some marijuana?
Yeah.
Dope?
The devil's lettuce.
The devil's. I hate that expression. That one pisses me off.
What is it?
And this is something.
Go into it.
I feel like we're getting we are thankfully cusp millennial Gen Z. We are we looked at life from both sides now. And I feel like because of that, I've been able to observe millennial cringe and Gen Z cringe from a third party standpoint where I've participated in both. Something that these kids aren't getting is they're acting just like millennials. The BuzzFeed millennial terms. Wow. Devil's lettuce? Are you kidding? Are you kidding?
Why? What irks you so much about the devil's lettuce?
It's just one of those quirky phrases. It's one of those quirky phrases that you say to be quirky. And I'm not a quirky ass bitch. Well,
it's pretty quirky.
I'm quirky, but like in the way that you would describe a malfunctioning machine quirky. Like, be careful, it's quirky. It might blow up. Not like...
I get that.
I'm not full of twee. I'm not like a Zooey Deschanel quirk.
I get it.
And that's where I think the difference is. Like, there's something wrong with me, but I'm not intentionally quirky. But there's something seriously the matter and scary at all times.
Yeah.
So devil's lettuce bothers me. Here are words I do enjoy using for weed. I love saying pot. Pot cracks me up.
Yes. There's something...
You're smoking pot?
Straight to the point. Joe does that a lot to me.
Smoking pot today?
That's a good one. Weed, easy.
Sure.
Like,
that's
call
the
it what it
baseline,
is.
Of course.
Ganja.
I have never in my life participated in using that word, but have you used it pretty often?
No. I've heard people shorten the word ganja to ganj.
Yeah.
You smoking the ganj.
Right. Bud.
The word bud, period, in general.
Hey, bud.
The word bud in general makes me want to spiral.
Okay.
I don't know what it is. Don't call me hey bud.
Don't call me bud.
Don't say that I'm smoking bud.
Don't say I'm smoking bud. Yeah.
Mary Jane
Holland. Lady Gaga. Mary Jane, I mean, now we're getting to the point, like, it's just like we all want to get creative. We all want to be funny. It's weed and it's pot. And that's it.
Yeah.
And that's it.
What about the doobie?
No one's really saying these things, right? No one's really saying these things.
Smoking doobies?
You know what I mean? Like, you're saying that ironically, right?
I think that it was ironic at the beginning, but then people just like...
Unless you're Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, you have no right to unironically say something like doobie. You know what I mean?
Because he's like Scooby-Dooby.
Oh my God. Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
That makes so much sense.
No, Scooby-Doo is a stoner
dog.
The whole show is like a stoner cartoon. They're in that mystery machine. They're smoking pot and they're having an orgy. They're all pansexual.
Yeah.
I've always been saying this my whole life.
They fuck in public.
Whoa. Well, we don't even talk about fucking in public. We've seen enough of that this week. We have watched enough public fucking between the two of us this week. No, we don't need to talk about fucking in public again for a week.
It's amazing because our listeners who aren't a part of the Patreon are just assuming that we, between the both of us we've seen enough public fucking that
we've fucked in public enough.
Yeah. We've been fucking in public. No, don't worry. We did nothing in public. We just watched it happen.
We watched a lot of public fucking happen.
And if you're interested, you can subscribe to our Patreon.
Public heterosexual fucking. Well, no, I don't want to get into identity politics. I'm sorry.
You can't start identifying.
I'm sorry. Hey guys, and welcome back to Good Children, the podcast. We're hosts Joe Hegyes
and Andrew Muscarella. reflect on our 23 years of friendship,
growing up in the late 2000s,
early 2010s,
and all of the nostalgia,
drama,
and weed-induced psychosis that goes along with it.
So today we're going to be talking about weed-induced psychosis, but in a way that like our situations leading up to this podcast, different events in our lives kind of have started because of a breakthrough that we had while we were high.
Whip. Weed-induced psychosis. Whip. Psychosis starts at the
Yeah. Wow.
Whip.
Whip it into shape.
Yeah, and we've been whipped into shape plenty of times in our lives.
And I would say that was also kind of partly due to a weed-induced psychosis.
Oh, of course. So, first question for you. How frequently are you getting so high that you start getting scared?
As of late, not often.
Okay.
I would say probably once a month.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you? You don't really smoke anymore.
I'm kind of really off the ganj. I have to say I'm off the ganj. I actually have been partaking in occasionally the nowadays.
Yeah.
I have drank that a few times, but overall, I was getting so high I got scared every single time I got high.
Yeah.
And it was like, I got to a point where I was like, I don't really want to do this, and then just binge eat and go to sleep. I was like, this is, what is the benefit here for me?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I would say smoking yourself to a point where you get scared. I actually don't really think I've experienced that many times.
Well, it's one hit for me.
I think you just get scared.
I'm scared all the time.
You like literally even yesterday, you're like in the car, you were just like scared.
I'm always a little bit spooked. I'm always prepared for the killer.
Is it the anxiety? What is it? What's in the back of your mind?
It depends on the day. Yesterday, we were driving down a foggy bridge into the beach. It was scary. With weed, no, all it takes is one hit for me to start getting anxious.
Yeah.
And that obviously ruins my entire experience. But I literally like, you know this, like we would share one hit of a joint and then like put it away and we both would get weird.
We would get weird. But I wouldn't be scared for my life.
Not scared for my life. I'm just saying it's an expression.
But I would be getting anxious. I would get very anxious.
And like I would immediately start trying to figure out what the other person's thinking. Am I being weird? Are they mad at me? Did I just say something crazy? Like, do they hate me? And that would be the entire experience until I just like hated myself sober.
Yeah. And it's crazy that would happen between the both of us. Like we would be thinking about the other person in that situation. I would always think, does Joe think I'm too high?
That's kind of the same. I think that's because
I
feel like the times when we were getting high together were really like the first apartment.
Yes.
Nightly. Like, especially the beginning of the podcast. It was every single night.
Yes.
And that, I feel like that was usually the case. But also it would just become like I would think about every possible negative outcome I've ever had. Like I could possibly have in a situation and be like, oh, it must be actually true. Like I must actually be horrible. With you though, I guess it was kind of the fear of being too high.
But like again, I also get that if I was high and you were not high. Still sometimes
that was hell.
Like, Joe thinks I'm so high.
Now I don't bat an eye.
People just think I'm high.
People think you're high all the time. People think you're high on this podcast constantly.
Which is crazy. Can you imagine? Like, I'm somebody who has anxiety. If I was to be high on this podcast, I would not be speaking. Like, you guys clearly just do not know me when I am high. But I think at the beginning for us, though, when we would smoke together, it was kind of cosmic. Like, we would get to
brainstorms.
work.
We'd brainstorm.
Talk about psychosis. We would really whip out a damn easel.
We would
Joe, we were whipping out.
I love to whip out that fucking easel. Holy shit.
Like, we were weaseling for easeling. Like,
it was actually crazy. Yeah. Oh my God. It wasn't like, it was about anything. We just needed to take out the easel, take out the giant notepad and start scribbling on it.
And
like
you would be the one that was scribbling. Joe would be writing at like a rate that
my third eye would open every time I got high.
It was shocking.
Yeah.
Like, he was going at such a rapid rate and I'd be sitting on the couch and be like, okay, no, that's a really amazing idea. I think that we should be doing this. And he's like, that's exactly it. And then maybe we did, but it would just be by the end of after one hit, we'd have 3 pages of a large notepad.
And afterwards, it was like we came. You know, it was like the craziest sex of your life. And then you're just like, oh, whoa, let's eat. Like,
do you think it had to be, now that I'm thinking about this psychosis, like, Do you think it had to be the fact that we simultaneously were being gaslit?
Well, of course, the gaslighting has something to do with it. And by the gaslighting, we mean literally
Our gas
leak that we had for a year and a half, 2 years.
So we would smoke, be in a room filled with gas, and then start ideating.
And that's how the podcast was born. That's how the web series was born. That's how
our restaurant was born.
Our restaurant was born in that situation. Everything really came out of the combination of carbon monoxide and marijuana. And that's an amazing combination when done right.
Yeah, because when it leaves you saying to yourself, I'm going to be the most famous person on the planet, then you know that like, at least it was all for good. Like, you know that you're doing something that you want to be doing. There's a tangible goal there. And, you know, but if you were leaving that spiraling about, oh my God, this is horrible, different story.
Right.
We were leaving those situations after getting high and ideating for hours, being like, that was really good.
We really had a lot of brilliant ideas.
Brilliant.
I feel like, well, I used to get so high in quarantine where I would just start seeing the spiders. And people know about the spiders. Have you seen the spiders?
No.
The spiders come.
What
the
do
spiders
you mean?
come at night.
They're already in my bed at night.
No, like when you take a certain kind of edible, when you're on a certain kind of dosage, the spiders appear.
What do they look like?
Big, massive, ungodly sized spiders that will be crawling around the walls. And I was hallucinating and I was seeing them. It's kind of normal. It's not normal by any means, but it happens to people. I know. I have friends.
I'm confused.
The spiders.
I'm confused because weed's not a hallucinogenic. You're seeing big spiders crawling all over the walls.
Not all over the walls, but you would see one out of the corner of your eye, and then you would look, and it's like something to do with like your brain kind of has to like make a decision about what it's seeing. So you're like seeing a shadow, but like your high brain is like, well, what are you actually seeing? Oh, that's a massive spider. Oh, that's a human being. You know what I mean?
I am so grateful that my brain doesn't have that switch.
It's crazy.
Because if it did, and I was seeing human beings and big spiders while I was high, I wouldn't be sitting here across from you today.
There was one time where Tony was staying over at this house and he gave me an edible and we were watching Euphoria in bed. And I saw a human being.
No. What?
I saw a full person scaling the window outside my bedroom.
You gotta go.
And Tony was just sitting there and I just couldn't say anything because I knew it was in my head. But that was a time where I was like, I'm on the brink. I'm on the brink of schizophrenia. Like I literally am seeing someone right now crawl up my window. I can't be taking edibles anymore.
I feel like you have such a vivid imagination.
Thank you.
It's amazing.
Thank
it's
you.
quite frankly stunning. But I just can't imagine
seeing someone.
Any part of my body saying, I'm seeing somebody.
Well, sister, you were hearing. I was hearing babies scream. Exactly. And that was the spider edible. That was the edible we got from our friend's ex-boyfriend's friend, who he shipped that to me in a box in 2020. It was and I've described this gumdrop many times, but it's pivotal to my life. Yeah. A jet black gumdrop about the size of a normal person's fist. Yeah. Massive gumdrop. No information. I think it was 500 milligrams, allegedly. Total. Allegedly. No information about this edible. I would just take a little bite, see how my night went. No idea how much dosage I was taking. The noises would come. I'd be sitting in my room and I would hear either like my mom screaming at me outside my door. I would open the door. Nothing. I would hear banging loud, almost like people are breaking into the house. Open the door. The silence. The hearing of it all is scary. I heard it. Because there was one night where I shared it with you and with Rachel, and we sat in our Zooms, we ordered our Dominoes, and we watched a movie together, and we were all slowly descending into madness. Yeah. Well, I mean, I will say during COVID in general, I was
definitely going into madness. And at that point, I was probably at my breaking point.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I took that little edible, it was game over. I was longing for something. I was hearing babies scream.
You
I
were
was
like
hearing dogs bark.
You were talking and you say, we're on Zoom and Andrew's like, hold on one second, the baby's crying. We go, Andrew, what baby? You go, what baby?
What baby is right? No, that's nuts that weed can do that to you.
And then you were like, the dog is barking. We said, what dog? There's no dog in your house.
There's no dogs in my house.
But you hear
besides
it.
his feet.
But I think that's the same thing as the spiders. Like, I think sometimes when you're that high, your brain hears a noise. Because a lot of times it would be like my air conditioner.
Yeah.
And I would hear a noise, but my brain would pick up on something that could potentially sound like something else.
Yeah.
And then it would be like, oh, that's what it is. Like that rumbling you're hearing is actually like the bass in someone's voice yelling at someone. And then you realize, oh no, it was the air conditioner the whole time. That's how you go. That's how you go crazy. You know what I mean? That's how you really end up insane. No disrespect to mental health issues, by the way, at all.
I think that I'm not. I really do believe that I'm going to live on this earth and I'm not going to go insane.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I was going to say what I was going to say is give it 5 years.
No.
But I did clock myself today, and I was trying to recognize. I was like, whoa, am I insane? Or
Why?
like, what was going on?
Yeah.
This is going to be classified by somebody, and it could be you.
Okay.
Sometimes I get to a point where I'm like by myself,
Uh-huh.
but I'm having conversation
Mhm.
about a hypothetical situation at hand.
Okay.
Like I'm already at the DMV.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I'm fighting the person.
Okay.
Why am I fighting them? Then I'm like, that's not how the situation is going to go. Like, why am I getting nasty?
Okay.
Or I'm somewhere else and I'm having another conversation and it's like kind of sweet. It's friendly.
Okay.
I'm just talking. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm slipping.
Okay.
I'm slipping back. Do you think talking to yourself in hypothetical situations is maybe concerning?
No, because I think maybe you're getting really imaginative with those situations, and that might be concerning. But otherwise, I'm pretty sure talking to yourself is a fairly normal thing that us human beings do on this planet to keep ourselves organized, to remember to do things.
I think it also preps me for situations. Yes. I feel very relaxed going into the DMV.
You're ready to go because you've already gotten into the worst case scenario.
Exactly. Because I feel like every single time I've been in a DMV, it's been like high tension. Like no one's ever really, it's kind of like when you're going through the airport. It's like you choose to be nice in those situations. Because if you're having an off day, it's like they yell at you, it's game over.
Yeah. And I've witnessed that by many people around me at the airport.
Yes.
I'm going into the airport that was a suppliant. I'm going into the airport like
mean?
I'll do whatever you fucking want me to do. I'm your sub. You know, like the TSA. When I'm going to an airport, the TSA is my dom. I will do whatever they tell me to do. They could tell me to literally
take
like
my pants off.
And I would do it in front of everyone. I wouldn't bat an eye.
It's crazy. They get away with anything.
They could and I would say yes and I'm sorry. They could tell me I have a bomb on me and I'd be like, I'm sorry I brought my bomb to the airport. Like I wouldn't bat an eye. I am so ready to serve and to service every TSA agent.
But again, what annoys me is the fact that every single airport has a different rule.
And that's absurd.
They're like, shoes off. I'm like, oh, you want that?
And then they're mad. The craziest is when they're mad at you telling you to keep your shoes on. I'm like, when did this change?
Yeah.
When did we? Or like, keep your laptops in your bags. I'm like, what do you mean?
I'm like, last time
I've been stressed on the line the whole time thinking about taking out my laptop.
When they pat you down though, lately, they have to have certain protocols.
Well, I got patted up.
Were you not? Yes. I've gotten.
And it really kind of left me thinking for the rest of that flight.
Did they ask you to take you into a separate room?
And I said, it's okay. You can do it right here. I don't care.
Yeah. Like what? I would actually be weirder for you to walk me to a separate room.
No, it would be horny then. It would be a little bit sexual then. Because
exactly.
I'm like, now we're in private.
I'd be expecting.
But did they go all the way up to the balls and like tap the balls?
Joe, it wasn't just, they didn't
like ass crack.
No, it was kind of like masseuse.
Oh yeah, they rub it. They do this, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They went down the leg to the thigh.
And then
and then like back across because it was like showing it was like in my dick, like it was hiding a Glock in the Rari.
Yeah. Glock in the Rari.
It's like
correct.
it's crazy. It was like you don't really have to do that.
No, but I kind of appreciated it. The last one
you wanted the different room.
No. I loved it. I loved it happening. I'm an exhibitionist, just like those people on the beach,
You're right.
just like the public fucking we saw.
Just like it.
It's lingering over this episode.
Would is a fantasy for you like sucking a TSA agent's dick? Like
No, I feel like I just really heavily implied that.
Yes.
Everything I just said, but actually no.
okay,
I want to get to the airport bar.
you're right.
I want to get to the strange pub at the airport, get a $25 martini, eat a french fry, get on the plane. I don't want to suck any dicks in the airport.
No, I never.
I do open up every app that's ever been made every time I step into an airport, Grindr, Scruff, Sniffies, whatever else they were coming up with, just to see.
And it's like 5 miles away.
No, girl, they're there.
No.
They're in Terminal 5. They are waiting. They are waiting ready. And I'm
To
like,
be
I
serviced?
just, and the worst is when you do that and then they're like, and someone messages you and they're like, looking for right now, horny. I'm like, no, I'm getting on a flight.
It's like, are you guys being serious?
Are you here all day?
And they're on your flight. Well, that's
What's
a different
happened?
story.
Pilot.
Pilot. I would have went back there and say, put that on autopilot for a second.
Back there?
And
You
let
would
me
have gone to
sit.
the back of the plane?
I can't. Yeah, in the front. I would have been right in the front, said, I have to speak with the pilot. They would say no. And I would say, he wants to speak with me.
Mm-hmm.
Is this him? They're going to say yes. I'd go back there and I'd say, put it on autopilot. Let me sit on your lap. That's it.
So, are there times in your life where weed has become more of a burden than a pleasure for you?
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, like, think about the times when it came to the munchies. Like, I actually was spiraling, but when I started to smoke was basically COVID.
Yeah. And we were both really, we
And
had eating disorders.
I keep getting the emails. I got to unsubscribe. For what? Arbonne.
Is that the smoothies?
Yeah,
the
Joe.
juice cleanse you did?
I went on the Arbonne cleanse.
I remember being so worried for you. And then I just jumped right on board.
And these girls, listen, like I was getting pitched left and right by people with the MLM scheme. And I don't know if any of our listeners have done Arbonne or like.
I'm sure they hear Arbonne and there's war flashbacks.
Exactly. But I'm still getting the emails, but I was doing Arbonne while smoking. And that's shocking. I wasn't eating after 7 o'clock. I was so disciplined when it came to smoking and
crazy?
doing 85 workouts that I was like, what's going on?
I would usually in 2020, I would set myself aside a serving of extra dark pretzels, one serving, 5 pretzels. And I would put them on my counter. And then I would pack my little one hitter. I would light it out my window because I was living with my parents, light it out my window, blow the smoke out my window, immediately mouthwash that I also had set up in a Dixie cup, mouthwash, hand sanitizer, change all of my clothes. Change all of my clothes.
This is crazy.
Immediately take a shower, come back into my room.
Light a candle.
My candle has been lit. Candle's been lit. And then eat my 5 extra dark pretzels, listen to music for 2.5 hours, enter a meditative space, see God.
Okay, I think Lady Gaga is going to run for governor of New York and eventually run for president of the United States. And I think she's going to win both. And I think that it's going to only heighten her pop career. I think she will run for governor in the next 10 years. She's going to run on a campaign of gun reform and gay LGBT human rights. She has obviously the population of New York would vote for her. She's going to.
Do you think that the Kardashians are real people? Or are each of them just the physical manifestation of the personas that they started when they were in 2007? Are all the choices they make based off of the way they perform, what their job is?
Yeah.
Come back down to earth, jerk off, go to sleep. Do it all again the next day. Heaven on earth.
Heaven on earth. But I'll tell you, when I was in Boston at that time, it was great because I wasn't spiraling as much because it was good weed. It was good weed. I was getting
Boston
from the
weed is
dispensary.
the best weed.
It's the best weed. When I'm getting it here, I might as well.
Because you're getting gasoline.
I'm getting gasoline. I gotta stop with it because it doesn't do well. I mean, I haven't really been. I'm trying to get away from weed, and now I'm going into dab pens, which are honestly worse.
Because they're Because you could just keep
You just
hitting
keep
and hitting.
Yeah. But it's I can come down from it quicker than
It's true.
from actual weed. But during COVID, I was living with two guys with my friends, and they were bong rippers.
Right.
I've never been a bong ripper. Bong rippers,
I've ripped a bong.
my lungs can't hold that
Yeah.
much. It's
Well, we're
scary.
lightweights. We're lightweights, and we're babies,
We're babies.
and we're P words.
We're
But like said in a feminist way. I'm sorry.
yeah. Is the P word puffy?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. We're puffy. But yeah, no, I would say though during COVID is where that's when I really started leaning in.
Well, this is when you started Snapchatting.
If I'm not kidding, if only I just capitalized it on it then.
I know.
I don't want to. I mean, I would be the next Jake Shane. I would be, because he's posting things that he's high as hell.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
posting to the internet.
Yes.
I was taking videos of myself during Snapchat. I would send a few. I'd make the girls laugh.
Hey, so I just had, I would say, probably 5 hits of my dab pen, as well as half of an edible. Tonight is going to be interesting. Taco Bell is on its way. There's a funfetti cake at Joe's. He's upstairs grabbing the goods. James Charles is on.
Joe, I'm feeling almost exactly like Andrew Cuomo. Oh, this is scary. Oh, I'm really high.
Honey,
Holy
I
shit.
think we need to talk about the SAT tutor. I know, I'm sure.
No, I'm good.
But a lot of them, I was just taking videos of myself high as hell and save it to my Snapchat memories. And then there was a moment. There was definitely a few during the Boston days, but when I moved back home, that's when they started to ramp up.
Well, because I feel like your home life in 2020 was like you, again, as we recently discussed this, you were living in your grandmother's former living space in your
Yes.
home. So you kind of had like you had a lot of space to
Yes.
roam about, but also I feel like that was a very lonely space because it was like enough space where there should be other people in that room.
Correct.
And there wasn't.
No.
So you had to kind of make up for that with your imagination.
Yes. My imagination was running wild during that time. And when I would get high and be at home and there was so much space, like a lot of the times I actually was doing a lot of dancing.
Right.
Not for the camera, just for me. So I was doing a lot of dancing. I was doing a lot of twirling and just like having fun in there, moving my body. And then after like a nice little dance session for about 30 minutes, I sat back down on the couch and I whipped out the phone and I started filming myself.
Yeah, so just a little update. For around 30 minutes, I'm very high. For around 30 minutes today. Wait, I'm so sorry. My eyes. Oh. See you later. No, but for around 30 minutes today, I talked to the window. Just had like an actual genuine conversation. It like got romantic. It got romantic and like stuff. And yeah, I'm on the couch and I'm like I was feeling romantic in the moment, you know, like talking to the other person. And then I did a dance routine and it was very pointed and it was very elegant. And like it actually stunned me for a second. Like it was really good. But yeah, so like
I will just never forget. I think I was probably sitting in my room high and I get a phone call from Andrew, which is strange. You know, we're
Yeah, I
texters.
never
We don't
called
really
you.
call each other. I get a phone call from Andrew and I pick up and I had thought someone was dead.
Yeah.
I had thought that something really bad happened
Yeah.
because Andrew's calling me in a state of terror and panic saying, I'm so high right now. I'm freaking out. How do you delete a Snapchat story? How do you delete a Snapchat story, please?
And you guys know that I am like just technologically inept. Like it genuinely was a serious question. And yes, I could have Googled it. I was so past the point of like wanting to be on my phone that I was like, oh, I took this fun little video, but I posted it to my story.
And people were responding, right? That's
People
how you
were-
found out.
And I was working at a corporate workplace and I had all of my like coworkers on and I posted it and the people are watching it. People are responding. They're cracking up for the most part. But I'll never forget. There was one coworker that responded being like, Andrew, did you mean to post this? That actually sent me over the edge. Did you mean to post this? I wanted to wipe my Snapchat clean.
And then you're on the phone with me. You go, I'm trying to explain it. It's not clicking for you. And then I think you are like, what do I do? I have to go tell my mom. I have to go tell my mom.
I'm like fully a 25-year-old adult.
And I'm like, whatever you do not go up to your. I was like, how will she help? How will telling your mom that you're obliteratedly high and you posted a high video of your Snapchat story help this situation?
Yeah,
Will she know how to delete it?
No, she wouldn't know how to delete it. And it would honestly just probably have been a conversation about me being
Of course.
high.
Yeah, it would make it so much worse.
And she would say, can I see the video? And that actually would have been more mortifying because she would have been like, okay,
It got romantic and like stuff.
what?
You need help.
You need help. You're doing a floor routine and it was pointed and now you want to make out with the lamp? Like, how is that going to help?
You figured out how to delete it.
I figured out how to delete it. And like, I'm not kidding. Like the panic that I had following and before and after, I think that genuinely did kind of curb the videos.
Yeah.
I kind of stopped with the videos from there.
The first thing I really ever posted to TikTok was the Abigail video. It was
Yeah.
very, very high in it.
But that's the thing. You got to be sometimes a little bit high. While you can feel anxiety, it gives
Also, it's
you
kind of
the
the magic
courage that
sauce.
you're like, I'm really fucking funny.
I know. It does really kind of help sometimes. And it also just like helps with creativity.
Yeah.
But also it helps with psychosis.
Yes.
And it helps you, it leads sometimes to terrible decisions.
Yeah.
To big mistakes.
Big mistakes.
And
Have you had a big mistake?
I'm just, this is going to lead to the next
Yeah.
story. So there we are in Long Branch, New Jersey. It's the first time in 2020 that I am seeing my friends after a really rigorous testing process for COVID. It's
Me and Joe
myself,
together, I would say soaking wet about 200 pounds.
maximum together. Yeah, combined. Me, Andrew, Rachel, Alex, Caroline are going to Long Branch, New Jersey, the happiest place on earth. And I mean that. And
Yeah.
I've always meant that. I am the happiest I've ever been to be with friends, to be silly, to be drinking, to be making food, to be dancing, to be outside, to
Yeah.
not be in my house for the first time in like 8 months. That was a high weekend.
That was a high weekend for sure.
And in that weekend, I
More
started.
dab pens?
Yes, yeah. In that weekend, I started talking to this boy, who I will preface in this story did nothing wrong, and he's not the mistake. The mistake is my own personal journey. Started talking to this boy. I was actually broken up with at the beginning of COVID by a boy I was maybe dating for 2 months, who I genuinely believed was the love of my life that I was going to marry. Weed-induced psychosis. Whip.
Whip.
This was a complete stranger. Anyway, he had broken up with me. I had lost 400 pounds in COVID.
Yeah.
I was skinny as a needle as a result of that. Along comes Polly. I'm like, this is a perfect moment for me. He doesn't live in the state. I'm very COVID conscious. I don't have to see him.
But like, didn't live in the state, but like was planning a move?
Went to school, I think, in New York, and then moved back home because of COVID and was going to come back. So I was like, this is actually ideal. Like,
Yeah.
I'm planning on moving to New York in the spring. He's planning on moving to New York in the spring. During this weird time of living at home, I don't have to worry about like accidentally exposing my family to COVID. we chat for several weeks on Zoom. You know, things get flirty, things get really emotional at times.
But Long Branch, you introduced him to the group.
Yes. Well, that's when I found out about him. Yes. So that was and the group decided you should go for this. So one thing leads to another. And this relationship was founded on Zoom and weed. We were both always high and we only spoke on Zoom. One day he lets me know that he's actually going to be coming to Long Island in October or November. For me, I was like, oh no, like I can't see someone. I can't see a stranger. It's COVID. Like it's COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do this. But
Yeah.
I also had no understanding of boundaries, no ability to say no to anything. Couldn't really kind of voice my own opinions, which was a disaster for myself, but everyone around me.
Yeah.
So I don't say no. I go along with this. And the only way I could think that this would work, because I couldn't tell my parents this was happening. So my plan is, let me book a gorgeous cottage in Quogue. A gorgeous cottage in Quogue, which is like a neighbor to the Hamptons. Bethany Frankel thinks it's like the poor man's Hamptons.
And this by gorgeous cottage, like it's gorgeous, and it's not like a penny.
No, but also
It's
I was
COVID,
working
you're-
full time. I had never moved out of my house, my parents' house. I had so much money. I was like, this is the perfect excuse
Yeah.
to spend a pretty penny. So I booked this cottage. I tell my family I'm going with Andrew to Shelter Island. Andrew agrees to drive me to the cottage. And then it hits me. My parents think Andrew's on this vacation with me. He's going to be driving me and then going back to Massapequa where my parents live. What if my parents run into him while I'm in Shelter Island with him? So what do? I put Andrew up at the Riverhead Holiday Inn.
We got breakfast in the morning.
So me and Andrew drive from Massapequa to Quogue, have a very beautiful moment meeting this boy for the first time. Andrew's in the car for it. Andrew's in the front seat for it.
Again, can you imagine being in the front seat? Joe just met this man. They're both in the back seat. I'm now meeting him too. Like there's music playing, like Michelle Branch is on, like
Sixpence None the Richer.
yeah, and I have to like make conversation but stay quiet because they're just meeting each other. So it was definitely an interesting space to be in.
Yeah.
The energy was just, I couldn't read it yet,
Yeah.
which is hard for me.
Yeah.
But I drove them right to that quad club.
And we went on our way, said goodbye to Andrew. I said, see you tomorrow afternoon.
Yes.
See you tomorrow afternoon. For me, it was a beautiful weekend. It was really romantic. It was really special. I remember saying to this boy at one point, this is either going to be the start of something amazing and beautiful, or this will ruin our lives. I was like, this is one of those things, like we're playing with fire. Like we're playing with the best possible situation we could ever possibly be in. Like this could be disastrous, or it could be beautiful, but it could be disastrous. It's beautiful. We're riding bikes on the beach. We're eating Chinese takeout in bed. We're watching Devil Wears Prada. It was very romantic and gorgeous. On the other side of town, at the Riverhead Holiday Inn, Andrew.
Oh, at the Riverhead Holiday Inn, I was high as hell. Did I do anything that day? I think I went a little bit, like went shopping because there's a few shops around. So I went shopping, then I went back to my hotel room and I was like, I actually need to get on the apps because I have a hotel room right now. Okay, so there's a little nook. There's a pull-out couch. There are 2 beds. Huge flat screen. Yeah, okay. Their little kitchenette. We have... Honestly, the Holiday Inn is... Guys, what do I do? Am I having an orgy tonight? And lo and behold, I started messaging a man who lives in the exact same town as me, which was about an hour away. But he was like, yeah, I'd be down to like drive to Riverhead. So now I'm like, fuck, he's actually going to drive to Riverhead. So now he's on his way to Riverhead and he makes it to Riverhead. And Listen, you guys, I had an amazing night. We were ripping his bong in his car. I was like, what's going on? I was like, I have a one hitter if you want it. He was like, honestly, I can one up you. I have a bong in my car. I was like, well, yeah, let's go do that. And then we ordered and we had a great night. And he gave me mono. He was just a little bit too young for me. Old enough.
The difference in our weekends is insane.
How old were we at this time? I was like 24.
24. Yeah, we were 24 years old and full of mistakes. The following day, another gorgeous day. I'm smoking my pot. I'm having a beautiful day. Andrew comes and picks us up and has to drive us back to have a teary goodbye. I'm pretty sure we were both crying in the car.
You were crying. They both were crying in the car. And I knew again, I knew going into picking them up, like, this is going to be emotional. Like, you just had an amazing night. Like, I can only imagine how they're feeling. And in turn, because I'm sick, I was also feeling it, like, for you guys.
Hey, guys, listen. I'm sitting in the car. I'm at the Quad Club. You know, it's nice. I'm having my stews, munchkins, my apple cider. Munchkins, just popping them in, waiting for Joe. They just came on their bikes. It was the cutest little thing. Oh, they're happy. But yeah, happy Sunday.
So I picked them up. I'm like, hey, guy. I'll never forget. I was like, hey, you guys. You guys were just ending a bike ride.
Yeah.
I was there. I was like, take your time. You guys got to the car. Energy is low. Energy is low. And then I drove.
Stayed low. It was a teary goodbye. It was a really emotional moment. And then I would say about a month later, I had a mental breakdown and broke up with him on a phone call. It was a phone call. It was just getting to the point where I was like, this has become so serious and also like so digital.
Yeah.
And I was getting so high and like there was a moment for me where I got so high and it like clicked into place. And I was like, I am making a massive mistake on both of our parts here. Like, I need to get serious and clean this up. And what I did was create a lot more mess. And that's kind of how it always goes. It's That's So Raven, you know? I put on my disguise. I tried to fix the problem, made it a disaster.
Because I would say
Evermore came out a few days later.
A learning lesson for everyone, for our listeners and for Joe, and this hasn't happened since, is maybe the first date. And yes, he was living in a different state. The first date being that luxurious and over the top and intimate is, to your point, a recipe for disaster.
And it was, yeah.
Because I don't think necessarily at that point in your life you were ready for a relationship. I think that's why you spiraled a month later.
Yeah.
So that was definitely, that story will go down in history though, because it's like, you're having a gorgeous night. I'm eating a Big Mac, ripping a bong with a college student. And what are you going to do about it? I kept seeing him. So
with your mono?
Well, I didn't get mono. I'm confused though how the mono came to be, because I asked him being like, do you have mono? And he was like, no. I was like, okay, well, you're like the only person that I was hooking up with. It was COVID. So I kind of feel like you gave me mono. He's like, no, I've had mono. I'm like, I can't do this right now. It's over. And then we ended it. And now he's doing mo.
Good for him.
Yeah, we're still mutuals. That was a huge weed-induced psychosis.
It really was. And that's why sometimes weed makes mistakes. You make a lot of mistakes sometimes.
You do.
And another mistake, this podcast.
Joe.
I'm kidding.
No, this podcast came out of not only a weed-induced psychosis, but because we were at our breaking point as well, saying, what the hell are we doing with our lives? And Joe was like, have you ever done... I don't know what sparked it.
Oh, because it's whip. I was getting to this point. I had started doing shrooms for the first time. So I started getting very into like inner child work and like shadow work and healing. I don't really know why I'm recording this. I don't think I'm posting it anywhere, but I do want to quickly jot down my thoughts on pride intersectionality and just my issue with pride, my issue with the gay community. And I was like into my manifestations in a big way. I was telling everyone around me, like, you could fix all your problems by just having a positive attitude. Like, you know, like, who cares about money?
Quit your job.
It's fine. And lessons learned, again, I was 24. I was into watching guided meditations on YouTube while I would get really high and put on a guided meditation. And I did an inner child meditation that really, really, really helped me like heal a broken part inside of me. And I kind of knew Andrew needed it. You know, I always kind of know what Andrew needs, be it a sandwich or, you know, a spiritual journey.
Because at the time I was working at EF, coaching at F4E12. Something else was happening.
You were also doing that other freelance thing, right?
The other freelance travel company.
Yeah.
There were so many things that were going on and I was running myself thin.
Yes.
And I think you also saw that and it was kind of like, what are you doing with your life?
Right.
What's going on here?
Oh my God, it was like the closest you've ever gotten
To throwing up? Oh my God, your eyes are so watery. You almost just threw up.
I like fully did throw up my mouth.
Isn't it amazing you guys still listen to this podcast? It's like at any moment we could projectile vomit. Like that's just so crazy to me.
Holy shit.
And you guys will be at home laughing. We're in it right now being like, Joe just almost just threw up.
Oh my God.
You good?
No, but it's fine.
Okay, is it down there enough that we can get through?
Yeah, we can
like
keep going.
20 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, whoa. What was I even saying?
So you were going through a lot. You were
Yes.
pushing yourself in every possible direction. And I said, Andrew, how about we smoke a little bit? And then let's put on this inner child meditation and just see how it goes. So we smoke our weed. I press play on this video. And immediately for me, I was like, I'm out. I like didn't care about it, but I was like, I can't open my eyes because God forbid Andrew's enjoying this thing. So I kind of just sat there like bored as hell for 20 minutes. And now I'm kind of realizing what my anxiety was when we were high. And it was because you are the queen of not saying how you're feeling or what you want.
Yeah.
That I was like commandeering your entire night and you wouldn't say anything. So I was like nervous that you were sitting in the same silence as me, bored as fuck, but you wouldn't say anything.
Which, to your point, and I think we've talked about this, I am just somebody who I'm like happy to be alive and exist. So like, even if you were like, let's watch this inner child healing meditation, I'm like, yeah. Like I didn't have another thought. I was like, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm good, you guys. Don't worry.
I opened my eyes at the end of it. Andrew's hysterical sobbing.
I was sobbing. I don't think I've ever taken 5 minutes, let alone 20, to close my eyes and process and really like deep dive somewhere. And the whole thing was like, just connect with your child self. Like, what did you want to do? Like, what were you doing? Like, what were you doing at 10 years old? What were you doing? Whatever. I was going through all these memories. All I could think about was the camera, was the little skits, was the Farmville moms, was all of these things.
Remember, you can email us and tell us your ideas.
Part two.
Show with your hosts, Joe and Andrew.
And I was like, I'm here in my life right now, working basically 3 jobs, like nonstop around the clock. Not doing anything that really interested me. Yeah, I love to travel. Like that was great. But it was COVID. It was all these things. And I was like, what am I doing with my life? Then I started sobbing. And it really put a lot of things into perspective. I think immediately after that, that's when we decided to think about the TV show.
Probably, yeah. And then we probably wrote the show. And then one thing led to another. We saw Alana Glazer live. And then the podcast happened. So sometimes weed-induced psychosis is actually really helpful.
And I'll never forget too, like, didn't we have a time, we shared this clip, but we were on our balcony.
We tried a podcast once before. Yeah.
We were on our balcony. I was in that white shirt.
Yes.
With my glasses and we were high.
I actually could use a good clap in a second.
I don't bring up the word clap in front of me.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay. So we're not really sure what we're doing. We're just doing it. But what was our subject again? What were we going to talk about?
we were honestly going to talk about like dysmorphia.
Oh my god, yeah. I forgot.
So like deep dark secrets
Right.
and stuff. But then we also were talking about like frittatas.
The frittata that poisoned us.
Yeah, that made me violently ill.
Okay. So where do we begin? What is the purpose of this?
I think that the purpose is honestly just to showcase like our humor, our everyday life, things that happen to us that you can't script.
You're so right.
You know what I mean?
For example, I guess let's just like get right into it.
Yeah.
I feel like a really primary place to start would be, I can't decide if we should go back to the beginning.
Oh, we can start at the beginning. You want to start at the beginning?
Yeah.
Let's start at the beginning. Okay.
So, God.
No, like Adam and Eve. Yeah.
I think we should have a topic. I think it should be body dysmorphia.
Okay.
Or what?
No, I think that we definitely can have a topic. I think it
The
could be
topic
body
could be
dysmorphia.
to be friendship.
It could be. I think it's really funny when we're talking about like what we were saying before about the hinge. I think that was.
Oh my god,
fucking
you're so
funny.
right. Yeah.
But like, how can we bring that into body dysmorphia?
Well,
Can it tie hand in hand?
it could just be. We could just make it about the abs.
We could make it about the abs. Is that what we're going to set our foundation on? Is the
The
abs?
abs.
No. Something that we delete every single week.
If we're thinking about it in terms of foundation, like you just said, like this is not even like for this. I'm really now structuring. If we want to lay groundwork for like what we're talking about forever,
Okay.
it does make sense, I think, for it to be, in some ways, a critique of the community.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
I do agree. In the best way possible.
Yeah,
It's just
so, like, let's
giving
just-
advice.
On
It's
3, 1, 2, 3, we're homophobic. What was the subject for the abs?
So the abs was basically like, I'm a venture capitalist.
Right. Oh
Yeah.
my god, yeah. No, please tell that story.
No, the thing is, for me, I'm somebody who deletes the apps every single week.
Right.
But I'm also pumping at least $20 to $80 a week, I would say, within the apps.
$80 a week.
Yeah, because the Super Boost. So when we're
How
talking,
many super boosts are you doing?
I would say worst case scenario, darkest moment of my life, 3 a week.
And yet nothing has come of these.
I would say 40 to 50 likes.
And nothing has come.
No match.
Okay, yeah.
And that's
And why do you think that is?
internalized homophobia.
Right, okay.
So that's something that I need to work on for sure. But that's
Yeah.
$60 a week.
And do you think that, like, do you feel
$60 a week.
that that's, like, fruitful for you? That you've gained something from the boosts in general?
Oh, that's really hard because, like, attention, for sure, attention. And
But how often are you matching? Like, I'd say you have 50 likes. How many of those are you
I would
matching
say it's honestly the same probability of getting to Harvard.
with? Okay.
It's about a 4 to 5% chance.
Right.
So I would say out of
Which you know
50,
a lot about.
getting into Harvard, yeah, for sure. Because I actually, I went to Harvard. 3, I would say 3 out of 50. But if you're doing $60 a week, what is that times? I'm probably pumping $1,000 a year into Hinge.
Yeah, so you really are. You are a capital investor.
Yeah.
You're an angel investor in Hinge.
Yeah.
And you have not reaped one reward.
No, the app that is meant to be deleted, but keeps being deleted and re-downloaded. We just gotta bounce.
I know. I'm just thinking, like, what if we do? Yeah, what if we don't do this setup and we do it like conversationally?
Oh yeah, that could be good.
Oh, and the good thing is it just like stopped recording on its own.
Oh, for
sure.
There was something, Joe, about God.
2 different things, because that was a separate video. I wanted to do like you negotiating with God to get into heaven as a skit. But
Okay.
one of them was just us talking to a microphone.
Yes.
About like our childhoods, which is
Yeah.
kind of crazy. And I must still have that somewhere.
You do.
Which I'll include if I find it.
That God one's not bad. I might get into that skit this week.
Before this next video plays, I want to clarify that it harkens back to a time in my life where I found myself ripping off The Good Place once a week. I would like run into Andrew's room and be like, I have it. Like, I have a brilliant screenplay. And then I would explain it. And then as I heard it back, I was like, this is The Good Place. And this, what you're about to watch, is The Good Place.
Oh my God, hi, come in.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going actually really well. Like, welcome.
Thank you. It's kind of crazy that I'm here right now.
Yeah, so this is always the most awkward part, but unfortunately, you did pass away 10 seconds ago.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so welcome. I'm God.
Wait, kind of hot.
Oh my God, thank you. Same to you. Yeah, so this is the hard part. So you died. You made it through that. Unfortunately, I do have like a list here on the table of some things I just want to run through with you really quickly, and just to see, like, just to get your input, your POV, if you will, on a few matters.
Before we get started, I'm really sorry. I'm really thirsty. I don't know if it was.
Oh my God. No, go right ahead. There's right over there. There's a
self-serve.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So something that we really don't take lightly around here is homophobia.
Okay. So this is help.
So just like question number one for you is like, I'm honestly seeing I'm just kind of seeing a rampant amount of homophobia down almost the whole list.
Okay.
Do you have anything, before I get into specifics here, like anything to say on the matter?
Okay, so I walk into a roast. I would say I don't really have much to say on the matter. It's just like, it makes a lot of sense, wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you say that that's a good thing?
A lot of people do think that about me, but like, believe it or not, I actually believe in equal rights for all.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, and that's what's going to make the rest of this really bad for us.
Holy crap.
Starting with right off the bat, I see you were at the Rosemont.
I was.
And right here it says in plain English, I would everyone here. There's lots of threats of, in general, like acts of grand scale violence.
You need to realize that at some points it's justified. You know what I mean? When you see everybody in a little tankiana, after having their tequila, you could say anything can come out of your mouth or into your mouth. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean, actually.
Thank you so much.
Okay, number two, right off the bat, like, I see that you actually were involved in a lot of religious activities in like pastimes, which is really something that like takes you right to the top usually of these lists. However, like, there are some questions about motive that were brought to my attention. So something that I'm seeing here is that you were involved in some sort of religious choir. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I actually was the cantor in my chapel choir in college. It was a really nice, reinvigorating experience for me. I learned a lot about myself, and it was really great to bring everybody together spiritually.
Right. See, what I'm seeing here is that actually wasn't the main motive.
I had an amazing vibrato. Yeah.
Right. See, that's great. And we actually do have a choir here if you were interested in joining. Like, should you make it through this process?
Yes.
And I'm going to be honest with you, it's not looking that great.
And why is that?
Because what I'm seeing below the choir about the cantorship is that it was done out of attention. We were seeking positive reinforcement. It was not done through the goodness of me.
That's a little bit confusing because I would say that a lot of people like attention, but like also attention in that space is also really nice. Like I was religious, you know what I mean? Like Amazing Grace, it sounded incredible through him, in him, with him, in the unity.
Through me.
Yeah, through a few people. I have a few sins, I guess.
Oh, please, come to me with them.
Oh my God, no, I have to come to you with my sins? Like, I thought that you knew my sins. Let's just think here. The thing is, for me, it's like I spent most of my life as a bottom. And I think like that's something that I learned quickly was like to top. And I topped only for God. And the reason that I topped for God is because, again, maybe that was internalized homophobia, but then you put it on me. Like, I got gonorrhea, and that's your fault. And I hate to blame you for things like that, but like it's really hard going through that, like especially when you put your whole life's work into chapel choir and bringing people together and doing things like that and being the apostle on ground for you. That's all I'll have to say.
This is a Dunkin' Donuts.
Have you been put in a strange situation because of marijuana?
No, but I don't like driving with it.
Well, yeah, it's illegal.
Those are the situations that I've been in.
When
that I
someone
just
else
spiral.
is driving,
Oh my God, it makes me sick.
that really freaks me the fuck
Even
out.
if they weren't high, like even if I'm high
yeah.
and I'm in somebody else's car and they're driving, it's you want to talk vigilance. I am just thinking about the fact that they might be over the median.
And that's how I always am in a car. Think about that.
Oh my God.
That's how I constantly am in the car. You driving in LA, imagine being high out of your mind in the passenger seat.
No.
That's how I am the whole time.
Joe.
Yeah, it's tough.
That's
tough.
not good.
It's tough.
Have you been in a life-threatening situation while you were high? Why did it go to
life-threatening situation while I was high? No. Have you?
What's your best revelation while you were high?
Probably that I could quit my job, that I could quit my full-time job. I feel like that definitely came to me while I was like smoking and like just like in that era of my life. I feel like I probably was sitting outside in our balcony, had just moved into Brooklyn, and I was like, I could do this freelance. Like I could do this on my own. I don't have to answer to a boss.
Yeah, no.
And that definitely, I would argue, is the best revelation I possibly had. But if I had my journals here, forget about it. I was having a revelation a night, truly, for 2 years straight.
Nice.
Yeah, but it's also like
got
a
so
little
too
too much. Like that's kind of the problem for me is like you can only have a life-changing revelation so many nights a week. And then when you have one every single night a week for a long time, like you start going literally crazy. Like it's just, and the God complex kicks in. You're like, I know everything. I could just talk about anything. I know everything about it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I put the pause. I hit the brakes on that in a big way.
Yeah.
I feel like also for me, something I do kind of miss about our friendship and weed is when we would smoke and go for a walk.
Yeah.
Even in Massapequa, but especially in Brooklyn.
And that's how a lot, like even, again, we're like idea spewers, but the conversation alone, when we get like a little bit high and just walk was always like flowing.
Yeah, we kind of would come up with so many ideas.
That. I would as well. I think that's especially, I was saying this to Garrett, I was like, it's crazy that it's nice out at night and I'm not walking.
Yeah.
Why is it 8:30 p.m. and I'm like, what am I going to do? Like get outside.
Yeah.
We were walking all the time. It's just the area. But like the area is great. It's just like it's a different. This is just seems very. It's like it's so suburban and like you can just walk. But yeah, no, I think that a quick hit, a little hit, and a walk, nothing better.
And just shooting the shit. I feel like a lot of the themes from season 1 of the podcast and a lot of even the conversations, because sometimes we would have the entire conversation high and then say, let's make that next week's episode.
And even with writing, like when we wrote. When we were writing Gabagool, we would take a little hit, we would write, and we would be cracking each other up.
Yeah.
Cracking each other up.
I do kind of love weed when I'm writing.
Yeah.
It is kind of amazing for that.
If you can, and I think that what I'm learning too, I mean, at this point, I'll hit and I'll watch something. That's honestly not good because I'm not watching anything any longer. I'm just getting deeper into my phone. But when you can take a hit and you're doing it for a creative purpose, that's why I think like movies like a Seth Rogen comedy, like those things, like they're writing it clearly when they're stoned out of their mind, that when you watch it, you're like, this is the most bizarre comedy I've ever seen. But that's shit that people think is funny.
Yeah.
And I think
also, it's
us.
like, I think if you use it as a tool, it's amazing. And if you use it like for like a medicinal purpose, if you use it like with intentionality, I think it became a problem for me where I was just using it daily because I like was just like, that's what I do. That's what my night is. Like starting at 6 p.m. I need to just be high.
Or to numb something.
Right. Which I also probably was that as well.
Yeah.
But when I do use it with intentionality, I always have a good time.
Yeah.
I always have a good time.
It's weird because it's like when people smoke, they can be really social. I guess it's just our personalities in general. But like we go to an anxious place.
I know.
We go to a
like
quiet.
Smoke to socialize.
Yeah. No.
Imagine.
And I'll never smoke again when it comes to like romantic interest. I feel like I've
You're
ruined.
always doing that.
Yeah, I would always, because
I
they
feel
would
like-
always be like, "Oh, do you want to smoke?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, let's smoke." The first guy that I was like talking to in Boston would always just get high, and then we would hang out. And I was like, "This is actually my worst case situation because do you want me here?" You know what I mean? Like we're not even really speaking.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, but smoking on a first date is kind of crazy to me.
No, horrible vibes. Later on in the night to like hook up, maybe.
But still, I'm like, why am I doing that to hook
Yeah,
up?
I know.
Even drinking, like I feel like sometimes like getting really maybe like you get drunk on your first date, that's fine.
Yeah.
Second date, a couple drinks. If you're still getting like having a lot of drinks by your third date, you got to cut that out.
You gotta
gotta know
cut
if you
it
could
out.
actually be around this person and
Yeah.
not just when you're drinking.
Yeah.
You know, like that's something to think about.
Should I like maybe go to the quad club for my date?
And now it's bullying because now I'm like, I shouldn't give advice to anyone ever. Like, I'm like, no one should listen to anything I ever say.
You're giving advice like maybe just don't drink, and then I'm like, should we?
How about I do something insane instead? I
But it
think
just
the
makes
reason
me
I
laugh
could give
about
advice is because again, I'm
lived
someone
it.
who's seen it all. I've made so many bad mistakes, so many crazy decisions in my life, and I'm just trying to help other
It's
people.
just so interesting to me because I've never seen the situations that you have been put in and you've put yourself in go beyond the scope of what I could have imagined for you in your life. And I do
Same.
believe it would make so much more sense if it was me.
Mhm.
Like, but then I'm like, I get so many passes going forward because I'm like, I didn't go on my first date to the quad club. Like, it's those little things that I'm like,
But you would have
took
been
the
like,
plunge.
because I think in
Because
some
I would have, I'm
would-
crazy. I would literally probably get on a flight.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You would be the participant in the situations I'm creating.
Yes.
Like that's what it would be. You would say yes to my insane ideas.
Oh, if someone invited me.
Of course, Andrew. Don't
From
even
a
talk. I
different
need to stop
state.
talking about it. I think that's why I threw up in my mouth because it's stressing me out.
It's okay.
It's
You know
stressing
what?
me out.
Don't let it stress you out because it happened and you never said fuck them. If anybody, if you're saying anything, it's about you, how you were in the situation.
I know, but it's still, I'm stressed.
Don't be stressed. There's so much more to stress about.
There's a lot more to stress
There's a lot more to
I guess
stress
that's
about,
a
let me
great way
tell
to
you
put
that.
it. It's really insightful, actually.
Yeah.
Um,
As I age, I feel like weed and me will see its day. I'm not done yet, but I do think there are moments where it holds me back greatly.
like what?
Right now, I'm in a creative space with it, though. I feel good with what I'm doing. With how does it hold me back? I'll get high, and then I'll be like, oh, why would I leave this apartment? Or I get high, or I would be like, why would I have that guy over? Or I get high and I'd be like, I'm not gonna go on that date. I get high and like, I don't want to hang out with people. It's like it's so easy to just. I know. It's so easy to
There's
just
a
like,
lot of examples.
but it's so easy to like,
And they were really specific examples.
Well, it definitely
And
is
almost
curbing.
all of them had to do with like dating.
It's definitely completely derailed my dating situation.
Okay.
At least the hookups,
Okay.
because again, like, what's the like? I'm just so like, I'm like, I don't want to
You
talk
know
to somebody
me.
right now.
You know me. I've always said, what can a hand do? What can't a hand really do?
I gotta get out of the hand situation.
But what can't a hand do?
You know, it can do everything. It can do
It
everything.
could do everything.
But like, there's only so much. There's only so much that.
You could put your hand through. Carpal tunnel.
Yeah, I'm sure.
No wonder it's going numb. No wonder your hands are going numb.
No, that's the left hand. I haven't even started using that one yet. Good children to the guidance office.
Hi, boys. So I am 24, almost 25, and I'm like getting to a point where I see people like my age and a little older saying that it is a red flag if you've never been in a serious relationship. I have never been in a serious relationship. Is that actually a red flag? Like, I low-key get why people would say that, but like, what do you think about that? Have you heard that? I don't know. That's all. Love you guys. Bye.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
Do you think it's a severe red flag? Like, am I a walking red flag to people?
I don't think so. I don't think it's a red, like, I think it's a bigger red flag to have been in a series of short relationships because you feel like you need to be in a relationship in your mid to early 20s. Like, and that was my tea. And that's as we previously discussed, like mistake after mistake. I don't think you're a walking red flag. You give me pause beyond belief, but not for any other reason. But I'm just confused because I think you're a total catch. That's the only thing that confuses me there. I don't think it's a red flag to know what you want and to be patient with what you want and not to settle for something you don't want. Like, I think that's all that is.
But yeah, to her point, I don't think it's a red flag.
I got into my first serious relationship at 26. My boyfriend at that time was 30. First relationship for him as well. You know what I mean? Like, it's not really about age in any capacity. Live your life.
Live your life. Do
you feel stigmatized and strange?
Sure.
All the time?
All the time.
Like a freak?
Because it's also like something that's like, I feel like embarrassing to say to the person that you're on the date with.
Yeah, I understand that.
Because then like, then
they're like, oh, what's wrong with him?
Yeah, but then like but for the most part, I feel like no one really cares. There have been some people being like, oh, you've never been. And like, then they're judging, which I'm like, it wouldn't work. This wouldn't work if I was to feel judged in the situation. But I don't really think there's anything wrong with that, with not being in a relationship. I think I know I don't know. I think I'll be able to do it just fine.
You will be. I think that there are, I honestly kind of think it's almost better off. Like, yeah, it's like normal to date in your teens to late 20s and in your 20s in general. But I think that, like, I don't know, when I got into my real relationship with my boyfriend now, I was so much better equipped to like understand conflict and understand like that this is another human being with wants and needs outside of my own. And like, I wasn't like an early 20s selfish brat at that point, and I was able to comprehend that shit that I would not have been able to comprehend at earlier times in my life. And you've done so much personal work in the past 5 years alone.
For sure.
You're setting yourself up for a healthier, more substantial long-term relationship when the right person comes along versus hot flings that burn out after like introducing them to your family. You know, like, you don't want to do that.
Yeah. Not a red flag.
Not a red flag. Next question.
Next.
Hi, Andrew. This is your cousin Leanne. I know that at Christmas you had said you've been waiting for my call, and I said I wasn't going to call in unless I had something to say. So here I am. I did listen to this week's episode of Good Children, and it was the singing episode. And like, not to make it about me, Leo season is coming, and I'm a Leo. Not to make it about me, but when we were like younger and I was the musical theater girly that I am, and like, did you resent me when you were like coming to my shows? Like, were you sitting there just like seething, being like, it should be me? Okay, that's my question number one. And then kind of tied in, so I auditioned for a dinner theater murder mystery company, and they cast me in the first show. I don't know if I'm like nervous to be even leaving this voicemail. Anyway, that's kind of what it's about. I am worried about getting stage fright on the night and forgetting all my lines. So any advice you can give on memorization and just like keeping your cool in a high pressure situation would be beautiful. Thank you. Love you.
Leanne.
I actually cannot believe that question. The first question. So I would probably say, yeah, I definitely think that like, but I never resented you, Leanne. I honestly admired you because I was like, you to me were doing it. And I was like, oh my God, especially because you went to high school. She went to the performing arts high school. So she like auditioned to get in and she got in. And I was like, I'll never forget going to your shows and being like, my cousin's literally, she's famous.
You
like,
always, I feel like I always would hear the stories about Leanne growing up. Like you were always truly a fan.
Always a fan.
You were the fan.
I literally was, because I was going to, I will never forget, like I'll go to your, either if it was your high school shows or like your theater productions or anything. I remember that like the Playhouse in Belmore or Merrick or like, and then there was this other place in like, I don't even know, but I would go to them all the time. And even if you were Milky White, you know what I mean? In Milky White, what's the damn musical with all of the fairy tale character, Into the Woods.
Oh,
you were Milky White in Into the Woods. Didn't have a line. But I was there and I was like, she is gonna be on Broadway. And I think it was the push that, I mean, it didn't push me to do anything. I just watched you do it. I didn't resent you. I admired you. But I was a little bit jealous. Yes.
Beautiful. That's really beautiful.
And the second one, congratulations.
Yeah, I want to go.
I think we really
we
should
have
go.
to kind of go. Yeah. I feel like the best advice for that is like, you got it. You know what I mean?
That's anxiety.
Yeah.
Don't ruminate on like, you have the confidence.
You have like confidence and like
the voice.
I feel like what performers fail to realize sometimes is like the people in the crowd like don't know if it's an off night, don't know if you fuck up your lines, don't know if you like forget something. Like they are just there to be entertained and they're idiots.
Yeah.
In a loving way. Like you're like I go to something, I'm a dummy.
Yeah.
I'm never there being like, did this person fuck up that line? So you could just make up the whole thing the whole night and no one would ever even know.
Sometimes I'll tell you this is horrible. When I'm coaching fitness, it's to me, sometimes I'm making shit up.
It's improv.
I'm just saying it. I'm just saying things and whatever comes out, comes out. It's improv. So like, yeah, if you mess up or you're not going on script, like you can improv and that person will be able to feed right off of it, especially if it's at least in the similar way. You know, you got this. We're going. It's hot in here.
It's hot in here.
It's so hot in here.
Well, you guys, thank you so much. Are you taking out a gun? Is that a pen? Is that marijuana? Put that away. Put that away. Not here, not now. Why is that in your pocket? Have you been smoking this whole episode? Have you been high? Are you high right now?
Mm-hmm.
You're acting really weird.
Yeah.
You're acting like a freak.
Yes.
Everyone thinks that you're acting so weird in this room.
No.
The whole crew. Everyone's been saying it. I've been in my earpiece the whole time. People have been saying it. Saying, is Andrew okay? He's been
Kevin,
acting
you
really...
think so? Tyler.
Yeah, everyone was thinking it. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this week's episode. Don't forget to do your homework.
Like, comment, subscribe, rate, review. Those reviews are coming in on Apple Podcasts. I'm reading them. They're very kind. They're very nice. Sometimes we need that hit. And then Spotify, you're doing a great job as well. You know, we're close to that 8K mark. 13K. We're getting close. Spread it to your friends though. Tell your a lot of moms. I'm hearing a lot of moms are listening lately.
Moms are in.
We're
in with the moms.
Come on. We're in with the moms and we're in with the boyfriends.
And don't forget to follow us across all platforms at Good Children Pod. I'm on Instagram at Joe Hegyes and on TikTok at Be Quiet Joe.
I'm on Instagram at Andrew Muscarella, on TikTok at Andrew_Muskie.
And every single Friday, brand new Patreon episode. That's where you get all the insider tea, all the information that maybe we're not so willing to share on the podcast. Things we're not willing to say.
Could you imagine?
Imagine what we're saying on there. And $7 a month, bonus episode every single Friday, access to our chats where we really, spill even more tea and really get to know our patrons in a very deep and intimate way. Shout out Bridget Mack this week. Until then, we'll see you next Wednesday for a brand new episode.
We'll see you next Wednesday.
You're gotta stay high all the time to keep you on my mind. Oh, high all the time to keep you on my mind. Ooh. Spend my days locked in a haze, trying to forget your face. Let's all back down.
But the thing is, it's like, if you're high, would that stay off your mind or would it not just make you spiral?
Some people get numb.
I would like my brain to go numb and not my whole entire body.